and the Nigerian lawmakers voted for a $28 per barrel as the new benchmark for oil price. Now, this also comes with a lower forecast on oil volumes, but how much will this decline affect Nigeria oil revenue? Babajide Ogunso, Channels TV data analyst, will give us more insight on that. Babajide, my first question is, who is buying Nigerian oil?
There are several ways we could look at this. We could look at it from which continent is buying Nigeria's oil or which countries are buying Nigeria's oil. But I'd like us to first of all look at it from the continental perspective. Which continent is buying most of Nigeria's oil last year, 2019, because that is the data we have. And from that evidence, we can see that the first continent that's buying most of Nigeria's oil is Europe, followed by Asia. Between Europe and Asia in 2019, we sold over 10 trillion naira worth of oil to these two continents. But again, perhaps what is even more important is to understand which of these countries buys most of this oil. And from the evidence we have, India, Spain, France, Netherlands are the top 4 countries that bought most of Nigeria's oil in 2019. In other words, approximately 50%, approximately half of all Nigeria's oil in 2019 was bought by India, Spain, France, and the Netherlands. The reason why that is important is because of what we've seen this year, the coronavirus. These 4 countries, as at today, has reported over 700,000 cases of coronavirus, and their economies are expected to decline, which means that, or the implications is that we're not going to really see a lot of demand, a lot of crude oil demand from India, from Spain, from France, and from Netherlands. So that's some source of worries. But what is the State Oil Corporation doing? And by the State Oil Corporation, we're talking about the NNPC. What exactly are they doing to minimize this? It's interesting that the NNPC says, apart from them looking at the internal concerns of the coronavirus in Nigeria, they've also started doing various scenario modeling. Well, that is what their top leaders say. They started doing various scenario modeling on the implications of lower crude oil demand from India and from Europe. So what we'll expect is if the NNPC is able to continue with that, with their plan. We've heard the CEO some minutes ago talk about improving the margins as well on crude oil. If we're able to improve the margins to as much as 10, to lower the operating cost of crude oil, then we'll also be able to see much progress in the days ahead.
So how do we attract more capital investment into the oil and gas sector? Because that's an important thing. Important question a lot of people are asking now, particularly this time around that oil prices are going down. And of course, there are a lot of competition about people or countries that are producing oil.
So what we've seen in the last 5 years is there are a lot of other countries in Africa, especially among the 54 African countries, that have shown oil reserves. And what this means is that investors are no longer just looking at Nigeria as an option. They are considering their returns on investment, yes, from their dollars across other countries. So let's look at how much capital has come into Nigeria since 2015. Between 2015 and 2019, Nigeria has seen $68 billion worth of capital into the country within 5 years. However, the oil and gas sector has received only $1.44 billion out of the $68 billion that's come into the country in the last 5 years. A lot of the money goes into shares banking, financing, servicing, production, and telecommunications. So oil is number 7 on the rank of sectors that are attracting capital in Nigeria. So how does the NNPC want to do that? The NNPC says apart from crude oil, what their leaders are talking about is improving revenues and improving the margins from gas. So we've seen a project like the NLNG Trans 7 that is expected to come on board within under 2 to 3 years. That was expected to improve Nigeria's gas revenue and also diversify our oil base. So right now, we're seeing a lot of revenues coming from the sales of crude oil, but there's a lot of potential which the State Oil Corporation wants to now start exploiting from the gas sector.
Okay, so how attractive is Nigeria oil and gas sector to investors?
So that's the look. We've seen that at the moment, it's not the most attractive sector. There are legislative problems, there are operating problems, there are security challenges which all stakeholders need to focus on. This is not the time we need to go into the politics of distraction at the State Oil Corporation. We've seen that what we need now is to balance our projections and to look at how we increase more prosperity to Nigerians from the oil we earn. Let's look at how much we've earned from oil in the last 5 years. So what we've seen is in 2015, oil gave the Federation 3.8 trillion naira. That's how much we earned. But what we've seen in the last 2 years, we've seen some stability. Some stability because we've seen crude oil volumes stable at about 1.9 to 2.1 million barrels. As of last year, the CBN reports that oil accounted for 5.5 trillion naira. And in 2018, oil also accounted for 5.5 trillion naira. So that's a lot of good news. We've seen the State Oil Corporation role in trying to stabilize revenue and make it easy for the National Assembly members to also make their forecast. We've seen that the National Assembly members are also considering a $28 per barrel. So in the last 2 years, prior to COVID-19, we've seen good news from Nigeria's oil revenue in terms of stability. What we now need going forward is to minimize the effect of the coronavirus and also explore the other opportunities we can earn from crude oil. Let's not forget that the government also needs to focus on non-oil revenue to now ensure that we're able to cross the 20 trillion naira revenue to the Federation account as soon as possible. What we have is, as our 2019 total revenue to the Federation account was approximately 10 trillion naira. Oil accounted for more than half. But we need to ensure that more money goes into the Federation account, and that those monies can only come from two sources, oil and non-oil.
All right, Babajide, let's just hope we eventually get it right in this sector. Thank you very much.
This is not the time for us to be distracted by what is going on. The State Oil Corporation and all stakeholders need to keep their focus on how we ensure that there's stability in Nigeria's revenue growth.
Let's just hope so. All right, thank you very much. Babajide Ogusowo is a Channels TV data analyst.